Hey guys, I'm Amanda the G and it's time for another Drunk Stories. Unlike in the story that I'm about to tell you, I am going to be classy and use a straw today. If you are new to Drunk Stories, it is where I have myself a beverage and tell you about a time that I did something stupid when I was drunk, and also remind you to drink responsibly and don't act like I did. In the past, I've had a lot of stories that revolved around clothing, but this is not one of those. No, instead, this is something that involves a work outing. I want to be clear that this is not my current employer, this was a previous employer. That employer had a rather lax policy when it came to alcohol and had alcohol at a lot of different events. Those included things like the holiday party that had an open bar despite it being midday, and multiple different picnics that all had beer and sometimes other alcohol, again despite them being midday, and there was never a limit on it. They also had the policy when you were traveling, which I found out when I did travel for them, that you were allowed to have a moderately priced alcoholic beverage with your evening meal, and they did mean that as in you could have more than one of those, which meant when I traveled with the company to Germany, I absolutely did have beer because it was cheaper than water. And when I went to Italy over the weekend while I was on that trip, I absolutely had wine with my dinner because it would be an absolute travesty if you did not have wine. And I realized I just said the word absolute a lot of times. This particular event, however, was not any one of those because I did not get drunk at any one of those other parties. Instead, this was a 5-year celebration of 2 different of my coworkers. So what this company did is every 5 years for your anniversary, your 5, 10, 15, 20, so on and so forth anniversary, and you could combine them with other people, you got a set amount of money to go out with your coworkers. It had to involve food, but they didn't care if the vast majority of that money was spent on alcohol as long as something was spent on food. Side note, for my 5-year version, I actually went and got an exception that required multiple people in HR to sign off on it for us to go to Painting with a Twist and make paintings and bring our own food and alcohol and have all of the money go towards paintings, and then I think everybody had to spend like 75 cents in order to fill out the rest of the money for this. So for this particular 5-year anniversary, we went to a bar and they got some food. There was like a pizza and a salad and like wings and garlic bread and just like little random food, but it was a very, very cheap bar with a very lot of money and not a lot of people. And the people who were throwing it were like afraid that they were gonna run out of money quickly, so they wanted all of the super cheap beers. And then other people there wanted like shots and drinks, and at first they didn't want to buy those, so there were some people buying rounds of shots for people. Also, I knew I was going to be drinking, so I had a designated driver the whole time who came with me, and all she had was the food and like one mixed drink that she slowly drank over the entire night, and then she had water. So when people were buying rounds of shots, I was doing her shots in addition to mine. And then they were finally like, we are nowhere near this bill, and basically if you don't use the bill in the one time, you're gonna lose it, and everybody wanted to take the company for all that they were worth. And if you were being offered a certain amount, why would you way underspend it? Because it's a celebration, it's meant to be a celebration. So they were finally like, you know what, order mixed drinks. So I ordered myself a Manhattan, and in a big glass, instead of giving me a Manhattan, they gave me a giant glass of Maker's Mark, and I sent it back and said, this is not a Manhattan, this is straight alcohol. And they responded by pouring it into a larger glass, adding more Makers, and sending it back to me. Mind you, my bosses at the time were totally at this event because you had to pay for it on a company credit card, so one of them had to stay to be able to pay for all of this, as all of us got completely plastered, and I don't remember more than half of that night. I do remember needing to pee, and I do remember my designated driver having to help me find the bathroom because I had no idea where it was. I also unfortunately remember getting home, getting out of her vehicle, and then going on all fours in my front yard and vomiting everywhere. I'm sure my neighbors loved me for that one. And if you're thinking that's bad, let me tell you, it gets worse. So I get home safely with my designated driver's help. I go to bed by myself. I put my phone away. I probably texted people I shouldn't have, but I put my phone away. I went to bed with my dog. Everything was fine. And then in the middle of the night, I had to vomit so bad, but I could not stand up. I could not make myself get to the bathroom. I tried, I could not stand up at all. So I projectile vomited off the side of my bed onto the floor over and over and over and over again. I then woke up the next morning, had to somehow get around my own vomit, did not succeed very well in that, had to wash it off of my foot to go to the bathroom, take my dog out, and have a hangover that lasted until 7 p.m. But to make it worse in that amount of time, I had to clean up all of the vomit that was everywhere, and at the time I had no bed frame, so it was all on my mattress and box spring as well. So I had to clean everything up and get bleach. And do you know what's awful when you have a hangover? Freaking bleach. And I also ran out of cleaning supplies in that process, so I had to go and get myself dressed and go to the store and buy more cleaning supplies and a new dog toy, because I had also vomited over my dog's favorite toy, which I had to throw out, and he was not happy with me about. So I finally get everything cleaned up. I got the dog the new toy. I had to sleep on the couch that night because my mattress and box spring had to dry from all the bleach on it. And all I have learned from that is do not be like me. I have never drank that much in a night before that, and I have never done it since, and I will not do it again. That was stupid. Stay fresh, cheese bags. Or should I say, stay classy, cheese bags. Also drink responsibly.